A bombshell book on the royal family from the perspective of servants has come.
So I've always felt very strongly about it, and I've been watching very carefully what others have been doing. And for me, over the last few years,
I don't believe any of these things. I mean, this is what always happens. As Bronte says, everything that Prince Harry does gets an undue amount of attention.
Harry's plane is cutting through the sky right now, racing across the Atlantic. But here's the thing. This isn't some warm family reunion or charity appearance. This is desperation. He's flying into a storm that's been building for months, and he knows it. While King Charles battles his illness, William's been quietly taking control behind palace walls. And the plan he's putting together, it could wipe Harry's royal identity clean off the map. The titles, the security, the legacy, gone. Palace staff are describing an urgency they haven't seen since the Queen's death. The mood shifted overnight. Everything got colder, sharper, more calculated. And Harry? He's about to land in a fortress that's already decided his fate. The question isn't if William's going to act anymore. It's whether Harry realizes just how little time he has left. Now, before we dive in, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because what's really happening behind closed doors is way bigger than you think. So here's what's really going on while Harry's in the air. King Charles is battling cancer, and that's not just a health crisis for the family. It's changed everything inside Buckingham Palace. William's not waiting around anymore. He's running the show now. And get this, Palace insiders are saying the urgency behind closed doors is something they haven't felt since the Queen passed. One staff member described it like this. The mood shifted overnight. The moment Charles's condition got worse, everything got colder, sharper, more serious. They said it felt like the family stopped thinking about emotions and started thinking about survival. William's taken over everything. Diplomats, they meet with him first now. Strategy briefings, he's leading them. Staff follow his pace, his rules, his expectations. Charles is still the king on paper, but William's the one making the calls that actually matter. And the scary part for Harry, this isn't temporary. This is William showing everyone what the monarchy looks like under his watch. And William? He's not the same guy he was even a few years ago. That easygoing, reserved prince everyone remembers? Gone. Completely transformed. This version of William is strict, focused, and he's got zero tolerance for anything that looks like scandal. People close to him say he's changed drastically. His leadership style isn't warm like his father's.
Specialist in writing about the difficulties between sons and their awful fathers.
It's efficient. It's calculated. It's cold when it needs to be. Charles leads with his heart, always hoping time will heal things, always giving people another chance. But William doesn't operate on hope. He operates on results. He doesn't hesitate like his father does. He doesn't avoid conflict. He acts, he removes problems, he organizes everything with precision. Here's the thing. William doesn't see the monarchy as a family anymore. To him, it's a brand, a business that needs protecting. And every brand needs strict reputation control, right? You can't have people out there damaging your image and expect to survive. Harry and Meghan, they've become constant headlines, nonstop drama, and William's done tolerating it. Every interview, every streaming deal, every tell-all moment has chipped away at the crown's image. The Netflix documentary, the Oprah special, the book. All of it. And in William's eyes, that makes them walking problems that need to be dealt with. They're not misunderstood family members. They're liabilities. And William's dealing with liabilities one by one. Listen to how palace staff talk about Harry now. The people who used to feel sorry for him, who used to defend him quietly in the hallways. They've gone ice cold. The sympathy's completely dried up. One insider told reporters, "He made his choice. Now he's facing the consequences." That's not sympathy. That's a door slamming shut. That's finality. Another staff member put it even more bluntly. He apologizes when he needs something. That's not change. That's strategy. William's cleaning house and Harry's name is right at the top of that list. There's no room for second chances or emotional reunions in William's version of the monarchy. No long conversations about feelings, no family therapy sessions. It's business now. Pure and simple and unpredictable people. They don't fit into his plans. They never will. Now here's where it gets really cold. Before Harry even booked that flight, he made one last attempt to reach out. He didn't ask for some big formal meeting or royal protocol moment. He just wanted to talk. Man to man, son to father, brother to brother. Something simple, something human. He wanted a chance to sit down with Charles and William privately, away from the staff, away from the cameras, and just...
Sussex has been nightmare employers with accusations of bullying have long circulated despite the couple's protest.
figure things out like family. The palace response? Complete silence, not a single reply. Not even a polite acknowledgement. No meeting scheduled, no message sent back, nothing, just dead air. And that silence? It wasn't confusing, it wasn't an oversight, it was calculated. In the royal world, silence is actually louder than any public statement they could make. It's how the family reminds you exactly who's in charge and who isn't. When the palace goes silent on you, it means something specific. It means you're cut off. It means decisions are being made without you in the room. It means your presence isn't required anymore. Your input doesn't matter. And your voice isn't part of the conversation. For Harry, that silence spoke volumes. It told him everything he needed to know about where he stands now. He's not at the table anymore. He's not even in the building. Think about what that must feel like for a second. You're flying across the ocean, desperate to connect, hoping maybe there's still a chance to fix things. And you get nothing back. Not a yes, not a no, not even a, we'll think about it. Just silence. That's brutal. That's a message without words saying, we've already decided and you're not part of this anymore. Harry's landing in London soon, but he's not coming home to warmth or open arms. He's walking straight into a fortress that's already sealed his fate. The palace gates might physically open for him, sure, but emotionally, relationally, those doors are locked tight. He's not the cherished son anymore. He's not the beloved brother who everyone worried about and wanted to protect. Somewhere along the way, he became something the monarchy fears. He became unpredictable. And in William's world, unpredictable equals dangerous. It means you can't be controlled. And if you can't be controlled, you can't be trusted. It's that simple. But let's back up for a minute because there's a piece of this story that makes William's reaction make a lot more sense. Queen Elizabeth didn't just leave behind a legacy when she passed, she left instructions, specific ones. And one of them was aimed directly at Meghan Markle. Her Majesty reportedly told Meghan something very clear. Don't use your royal title for personal business. Don't turn the Duchess label into a money-making tool. It was a direct warning, not a suggestion.
There are papers in which this behavior is documented going back to 28.
The Queen had seen what happens when royals blur the line between duty and profit. She knew the public would tolerate tradition, respect the crown, support the family. But commercialize it? Turn it into a brand? That's where things fall apart. But here's the problem. Meghan did exactly what the Queen warned her not to do. And she didn't do it quietly or subtly. She did it boldly. Every project, every deal, every partnership leaned heavily on that Duchess title. Netflix, Duchess of Sussex executive produces. Spotify, the Duchess presents archetypes, brand partnerships, royal connection front and center. She didn't distance herself from the royal label after stepping back. She turned it into a ladder. She built her entire post-royal identity around the title she supposedly walked away from. And now there's the cosmetics venture. That one really got the palace's attention fast. The Instagram teasers started dropping, polished makeup clips, magazine-level visuals, the whole production. She's meeting with Vogue stylists, posing with Hollywood influencers, getting treated like a global beauty icon. It's sleek, it's professional, it's very Meghan. But here's what William's team sees when they look at those posts. They don't see entrepreneurship or a woman building her own career. They see someone building a Hollywood empire that's still tied directly to the royal identity. The Duchess brand, the royal connection. That's the foundation of everything she's promoting. To William, this isn't about being successful or ambitious. This is about crossing a line the Queen drew very clearly. Meghan's rebranding herself, sure, but she's using the royal title to do it. Every photo, every product launch, every carefully curated post screams royalty, even though she's in California living a completely different life. And that's what William sees as rebellion, not ambition, not independence, going against the very rules that were supposed to protect the monarchy after the Queen was gone. The Queen's warning wasn't casual, small talk over tea. It was a rule, one she believed would keep the monarchy intact long after she was gone. She understood that the crown's reputation was fragile, that public trust could be damaged easily.
They could have sued us like they sued other newspapers, but they didn't because they knew they didn't have a case.
But Meghan ignored it, not quietly in the background, publicly, repeatedly, without hesitation. And now the same royal rules that once elevated her, that gave her access and status and a global platform, those are becoming the exact reason William's ready to take everything away. And then came the poll that flipped everything. A YouGov survey started making its way around Buckingham Palace, and the reaction inside those walls was intense. The numbers weren't just surprising, they were explosive. Nearly half of Britain, 47% to be exact, believed Meghan Markle posed a bigger threat to the monarchy than Prince Andrew. Read that again. A former actress, someone who married into the family just a few years ago, was seen by almost half the country as more damaging than a man tied to one of the darkest scandals in modern royal history. That's not just public frustration. That's people saying enough is enough. For William, this poll was a turning point, not because he suddenly hated Meghan or wanted revenge. That's not how he operates. It was because he finally had something concrete in his hands. Something that showed him the public wasn't just annoyed anymore. They were exhausted, done with the drama, done with the constant interviews popping up every few months, done with the headlines that never seemed to stop. Two people who don't even live in the UK anymore, dominating royal news cycles and stirring up controversy at every turn. When William saw those numbers, people close to him say his reaction was silent, but sharp. He didn't yell, he didn't throw anything across the room or go on some angry rant. That's not his style. He simply understood something critical in that moment. The monarchy can't survive this long term, not with this level of constant noise, not with the public getting more frustrated every time Harry and Meghan's names pop up in the headlines. He'd already been warning his father for months that public patience was wearing thin. But now the numbers made it impossible to deny. Get this. William had been trying to convince Charles that something needed to change. But Charles, being Charles, always hoped time would fix things. He wanted to believe Harry would calm down, that the family could heal quietly, that eventually everyone would move on. That's how Charles thinks. He avoids conflict when he can. He gives people chances.
You can't defend them anymore. You know, Harry, I defended him all along, said, look, he's protected his country.
But this poll shifted the conversation entirely. It wasn't just William's opinion anymore. It was nearly half the country agreeing with him. That's powerful. That's the kind of validation that moves decisions from maybe someday to we need to act now. Meanwhile, Meghan's team had a completely different take on the whole thing. They brushed the poll off almost immediately, called it media bias, said the British press had it out for her from day one, and this was just more confirmation of that. They dismissed the reactions online, pushed back on the narrative, acted like the numbers didn't mean anything real. One of her representatives basically said the poll was manufactured drama designed to attack her credibility. But here's the thing about public opinion. You can call it bias all you want, but when half a nation shares the same view, that's not just media spin. That's genuine sentiment. Behind palace walls, the poll wasn't viewed as noise or tabloid garbage. It was viewed as something much more significant. A green light, basically. A sign that if William moved forward with changes, with what he's been calling modernization, the public would actually support it, even if those changes meant doing something drastic, something that would normally be controversial. The poll told him people were ready. They wanted the monarchy to be stable again. They wanted the drama to stop, and if that meant cutting ties with Harry and Meghan, most people wouldn't complain. They'd probably breathe a sigh of relief. So while all this was happening, something else was going on quietly in the background. Palace advisors started pulling out old books, dusty files, records from decades back. They were researching, looking at how titles have been handled before, how they've been removed in the past, what the options actually look like. Some of them were studying protocols from way back, like the 1930s era. Others were looking at more recent situations where royals lost their status. The mood in those meetings shifted from cautious discussion to actual preparation. They weren't asking, should we do this anymore? They were asking, how do we do this? And that's when the approach started taking shape. William's team came up with something clever, something that wouldn't look like a personal attack or family revenge. It's a two-step thing. First, deal with Prince Andrew. Strip him of everything that's left, all the remaining privileges he's been clinging to. Do it publicly.
Meghan Markle, to me, has lost all sense of reality about life.
Do it decisively. Make it clear that the monarchy is serious about cleaning up its image and holding people accountable. That's step one. And here's the brilliant part. Once that's done, once Andrew's been fully removed from royal duties and titles, that creates a path. A pattern, basically. Step two, use that same approach for Harry and Meghan. Not with drama, not with big public announcements or press conferences, just quiet moves behind the scenes. The kind of thing that happens behind closed doors and gets announced in a simple statement. The titles have been updated to reflect current circumstances or something like that. Professional, clean, final. To most people watching from the outside, it won't even look like punishment. It'll look like modernization, like the monarchy is simply updating itself for a new era, streamlining things, making the structure tighter and more focused. People who know Harry, even people who feel sympathetic toward him, admit that William's approach here is smart, really smart, because it doesn't come across as revenge or brotherly drama. It looks like practical housekeeping. William's not going on TV ranting about Harry's book or Meghan's interviews. He's not engaging in public fights. He's just quietly restructuring the monarchy's framework. And when you frame it as modernization instead of punishment, most people won't push back. They'll see it as progress, as the crown adapting to modern times. The beauty of this plan is in how simple it is. It's not complicated or messy. It doesn't require long explanations or dramatic justifications. Once the path is cleared with Andrew, the monarchy can turn around and say they're simply following the same approach across the board. Consistency, fairness, treating everyone by the same standards. Nobody can really argue with that on the surface. And behind that clean explanation, everyone inside the palace knows exactly what's really happening. This is William's final move. The board's already set. The pieces are in position. And Harry? He doesn't even realize how much has already been decided while he was thousands of miles away. William's vision for the future monarchy is crystal clear. He wants it clean, tight, polished, a sleek operation with fewer working royals and absolutely zero distractions. No scandals popping up every other month.
As in politics, it is more seeing a vision and having a role. And it's about...
No family members doing tell-all interviews or signing streaming deals. Just a focused, professional institution that people can respect without rolling their eyes. That's the exact opposite of the world Harry and Meghan built for themselves in California. Their world is full of cameras, brand partnerships, interviews, constant content creation. It's the Hollywood model. And in William's version of the British monarchy, that model doesn't exist. There's no room for it. You're either in or you're out. And if you're out, you don't get to keep the benefits that come with being in. While William's building his plan back in London, let's talk about what's actually happening on the other side of the Atlantic. Because Meghan's California empire, it's not exactly thriving the way the Instagram posts might make you think. Remember that award-winning podcast she was so proud of? Confessions of a Female Founder? Yeah, barely anyone actually tuned in. The listening numbers were low, really low. Reviews were lukewarm at best. And Spotify? They quietly moved on. No big announcement, no drama. They just kind of let the whole thing fade away. But Meghan still displayed those 2 shiny awards like she'd reshaped the entire podcasting industry. That's very on brand for her, honestly. Former collaborators behind the scenes tell a different story than what you see in the polished photos. They've been whispering for a while now that it's all style and no real substance. One insider said Meghan would spend hours, literally hours, perfecting the lighting for a single photo, getting the glare just right, making sure every angle looked magazine-worthy. But when it came to actually preparing the content itself, the actual substance of what she was creating, that got minutes, not hours. It's all about the image, the perception, the carefully curated version of success. And for a while, that strategy worked. People bought into it. But perception is a tricky thing. It only lasts as long as people believe it. And the cracks? They're starting to show now. Staff members have left. Friends have quietly distanced themselves. Allies who used to support her publicly have gone silent. Those close to the situation say her obsession with controlling every detail of her public image has pushed away the very people who could have actually...
It takes is a letter's patent to remove royal titles if the king really wishes to do so.
Helped her build something real. You can only keep up appearances for so long before the reality underneath starts breaking through. And that reality is becoming harder to hide. Now let's talk about Harry for a second, because his situation might be even more complicated than hers. Friends describe him as restless, anxious, unsure of who he even is without that royal title propping him up. This is a guy who spent his entire life defined by being a prince. The spare, sure, but still royalty, still protected, still part of something bigger than himself. And now, he's in California playing celebrity, doing podcast interviews, attending events that feel hollow compared to what his old life used to be. Freedom was supposed to fix everything, right? That's what they said when they left. Freedom from the palace, freedom from the rules, freedom to live on their own terms. But here's what nobody tells you about freedom. Sometimes it's not peace, sometimes it's just chaos with better weather. Harry got his freedom, but what came with it? A life built on headlines he can't control. Constant scrutiny from a media that won't let up. Projects that don't quite land the way he hoped. And the nagging feeling that maybe, just maybe, he gave up something irreplaceable. California was supposed to be the fresh start. Instead, it's become a stage for a slow unraveling that more people are starting to notice. And then there's the security issue. That's a massive problem for Harry, huge. He was raised with constant protection. Round-the-clock security was just part of life. You don't think about it when you have it. But when it's suddenly not guaranteed anymore, when it becomes a question mark instead of a given, that's terrifying, especially for someone who grew up royal, who knows what kind of attention comes with that life. He's tried reconnecting with the family, apologizing, testing the waters to see if there's any way back. But inside the palace, forgiveness isn't exactly flowing freely these days. Palace staffers have a take on his apologies that's pretty harsh. One of them reportedly said, "He apologizes when he needs something. That's not change, that's strategy." Ouch, that's brutal. But it shows you how the mood has shifted. Nobody there sees him as the wayward son trying to come home. They see him as someone who made his choice and now wants to cherry-pick the benefits without accepting the responsibilities.
We're just doing it the same way that we would want if we were employees of it, right?
You can't have it both ways. And William's made that very clear. Harry's stuck in this impossible position now. He's torn between standing by Meghan, staying committed to the life they built together, and preserving the identity he walked away from. The prince identity, the royal connection, the legacy. Friends say he's starting to ask himself a question he swore he'd never consider. Did he make the biggest mistake of his life? That's heavy. That's the kind of question that keeps you up at night. And as William's plan gets closer to reality, as those titles get closer to disappearing, Harry's feeling the weight of that question more every single day. All right, let's paint the picture of what actually happens if William goes through with this. Imagine waking up one morning and the titles are just gone. No more Duke and Duchess of Sussex, no Prince Archie, no Princess Lilibet, just Harry and Meghan Windsor and their 2 kids. That might not sound like a huge deal to people on the outside, but trust me, it changes absolutely everything. Those titles aren't just fancy words on fancy paper. They're not ceremonial labels that look nice in newspaper headlines. They're access passes, they're shields. They're the foundation that every single opportunity has been built on. Think about how Harry and Meghan operate right now. Every deal, every invitation, every red carpet moment, every corporate partnership, it all comes back to one thing. They're royals. Former working royals, sure, but still connected to the crown, still carrying that Duchess and Duke label. That's what opens the doors. That's what gets them the meetings with Netflix executives and Spotify producers and high-end brand managers. Take those titles away, those doors start closing fast. Not slowly, fast. Because here's the uncomfortable reality that nobody really talks about out loud. Hollywood doesn't care about Harry and Meghan as regular people. They care about Harry and Meghan as royalty, the novelty, the connection, the prestige of saying we worked with actual royals. Without the titles, what's left? Harry's a guy in his 40s with military experience and a troubled relationship with his family. Meghan's an actress who had moderate success on a cable show years ago. That's not nothing, but it's also not enough to sustain the level of lifestyle and influence they're living right now.
I don't think that we can ever have peace with my family unless the truth is out there.
The Montecito mansion? That's expensive. Really expensive. Millions in maintenance, staff, security costs that aren't covered by anyone anymore. The private jets? Those don't fly themselves. The constant need to maintain appearances while deals start drying up? That gets exhausting really quickly. And it's not just about money, although that's obviously a massive factor. It's about identity. Harry's entire sense of self has been wrapped up in being a prince since birth. You can't just turn that off like a switch. Even when he left the working royal life behind, he still had that safety net. He could still say, "I'm Prince Harry." He could still walk into a room and command instant respect and attention based on that title alone. Without it, He becomes just another celebrity trying to stay relevant in a town that chews people up and spits them out daily. Los Angeles doesn't have patience for people on their way down. It's brutal that way. Meghan spent years building what she calls her brand, but let's be real about what that brand actually is. It's not built on her acting career. It's not built on her podcast skills or her business savvy. It's built entirely on being the Duchess of Sussex, who married into the British royal family and then had the courage to walk away. That's the story. That's the angle. That's what makes her interesting to brands and media outlets. Remove that royal connection. The story completely loses its power. She becomes another Hollywood personality with opinions and a lifestyle blog. There are thousands of those. She'd be competing in an incredibly crowded space where she doesn't have nearly as much pull as she thinks she does. Now here's where it gets really real for both of them. The $1 million speaking engagements, those start disappearing when you're not connected to royalty anymore. The book deals that pay advances you can live on for years. Publishers lose interest quickly when the royal angle is gone. The invitations to exclusive events where photographers are lined up and everyone wants a photo, those stop coming. You go from being the most talked about couple in entertainment to being yesterday's news faster than you'd think possible. And Harry knows this. Deep down, he absolutely knows this. That's why the panic is setting in. Friends say he's been different lately, quieter, more withdrawn, less confident about the choices he's made. There's this question hanging over everything now, the one question he never thought he'd seriously ask himself. Did I throw away?
Don't believe the bullying allegations. Don't believe the bullying stories. Where there's smoke, there's fire, Dan. Don't you feel like that?
Everything that mattered for something that doesn't actually work? That's not just regret. That's the kind of realization that changes how you see your entire life. And as William's plan moves forward, as the reality gets closer, Harry's running out of time to figure out if there's any way to stop it, or if he even can stop it anymore. Here's the thing. The decision might not be in his hands at all. It might have already been made without him. So here's where we are right now. Harry's plane is going to land soon. Maybe it already has by the time you're watching this. And everything he's been afraid of, everything he's been trying to prevent by making this desperate trip, it could already be sitting there waiting for him. Decisions made, plans finalized, documents prepared. The kind of thing where showing up doesn't actually change the outcome anymore. You're just there to hear about what's already been decided. And here's the thing that makes this whole situation so cold. William doesn't operate the way his father does. Charles forgives. He gives people second chances, third chances, as many as it takes because he genuinely believes family can heal with enough time and patience. He hoped Harry would calm down eventually, that the anger would fade, that one day they'd all look back on this as just a difficult chapter they got through together. That's how he sees the world. Conflict gets avoided when possible. Doors stay open because closing them feels too final, too harsh. But William, he's not built like that. Forgiveness doesn't come the same way. He doesn't sit around hoping time will fix problems. Instead, he removes them. A situation gets assessed, decisions get made, actions get taken, all without getting emotional. No long family therapy sessions or heart-to-heart conversations, trying to work through feelings. Just restructuring, reorganizing, cutting away what doesn't work. And in his mind, Harry and Meghan stopped working a long time ago. They became problems that need solutions, not family members that need understanding. This isn't brotherly drama anymore. It's not two siblings fighting over hurt feelings or old grudges. This is business now. Pure strategy. William's treating the monarchy like a company that needs saving. And he's willing to let go of anyone who threatens that company's survival. Even his own brother. Especially his own brother, actually, because Harry's the one making the most noise, causing the most damage.
I've heard from so many people that say they felt this big when they dealt with Meghan.
Keeping the drama alive when William's trying to move the whole institution forward into something cleaner and more stable. The spare, that's what Harry was always called, right? The backup. The insurance policy in case something happened to William. And for his whole life, that label followed him around. Not the heir, just the spare. But here's the brutal irony of how this is all playing out. Harry spent years trying to escape that label, trying to prove he was more than just William's backup plan. And now, he's about to learn what it really means to be the spare. Because when you're the spare, you can be let go. You're not essential to the operation. The monarchy continues just fine without you. Actually, in William's view, it might be stronger without the constant distraction Harry's become. The monarchy under William's leadership isn't going to be what Harry grew up with. It's not going to be what Charles built or what the Queen protected. It's going to be something different, tighter, more controlled, more efficient, less forgiving. It's going to be a machine that runs smoothly without tolerance for mess or drama or unpredictability. And machines, they don't slow down for sentiment or pause for emotions. Family members who can't decide if they want in or out. The machine doesn't stop for them either. You're either part of the system or you're not. And Harry made his choice years ago, even if he's only now starting to understand what that choice actually cost him. So, what happens next? Does Harry somehow find a way back in? Does he figure out how to humble himself enough, apologize deeply enough, change completely enough to earn back even a fraction of what he walked away from? Or is that door already sealed shut, locked from the inside, with William holding the only key and zero intention of ever opening it again? That's the question hanging over everything right now. And honestly, based on everything we've talked about, based on how William operates, based on the plan that's already in motion, it's not looking good for Harry. Not good at all. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Harry can come back from this? Or is it already too late? Hit that like button if this opened your eyes to what's really happening behind the palace walls. And subscribe, because this story's far from over. William's just getting started and Harry's running out of moves. We'll be here tracking every development as it happens. Thanks for watching.